Iowa, the breadbasket of America, a land of endless fields where crops feed millions across the country, yet, for many Iowans, putting food on their table isn't guaranteed. Food insecurity. It's a term we hear often, but what does it actually mean?
So you work hard, you have a good job, you do everything you can, you do everything right, and you still can't feed your children, and you have to go to bed wondering how you're gonna make those meals work out till the end of the week. That kind of stress and pressure is just so hard on people that my heart really goes out to them.
More than 280,000 Iowans, including 1 in 8 children, struggle with food insecurity. And it's not about hunger. Poor nutrition affects nearly every aspect of life. Children struggle to focus in school, adults face higher risk of chronic illness, and seniors ration meals just to get through the month.
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I never had to worry where my food was coming from because we just didn't. There was always food in the cupboards, and my parents both worked. But now I have kids coming up to me at school saying, "Is it food pantry day?" They are worried if they're going to have food for the next week, and they know when that pallet of food comes that it's food pantry day, and their pantries at home are going to get filled because of our food pantry. So it just breaks my heart to, a 10-year-old, 8-year-old child that doesn't know, if they're going to have enough food, and that they know that, we're going to provide it, and it just makes their day that it's the day that they're going to fill their pantry.
A lot of behavior problems, both acting out aggression as well as attention issues, happen when kids are hungry.
Contrary to what some might think, food insecurity isn't limited to unemployment. Many working families still don't make enough to afford consistent, nutritious meals. Wages haven't kept up with rising costs, and unexpected expenses, like medical bills or car repairs, can push food to the bottom of the priority list. It is told that 1 in 6 working Iowans struggle to find the cost for basic needs.
What are the misconceptions around people who receive food? That they're not working, that they're lazy, but really that couldn't be further from the truth. Really, it's somebody who might have a medical bill and just don't have enough money to pay their medical bill and feed their family. It might be somebody that lost their job and there's too much month and not enough money to go along with it.
17.5% of Iowan households with working adults earn below what is needed to cover a basic needs budget. Yet, for some Iowans, the challenge isn't just affording food, it's accessing it. Food deserts, areas where fresh, affordable groceries are miles away, leave families relying on convenience stores and fast foods. In total, 111 communities in Iowa are considered food deserts. That means over 41,500 Iowans are living in a community where there's no local access to wholesome food options.
For us here, we're in what people would call a food desert because we don't have a grocery store here in town. We don't have access to a grocery store here in town. The grocery store closed 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And so the closest grocery store is either in Mason City, which is 25 miles that direction, or Hampton, which is 20 miles that direction.
And while food insecurity affects people of all backgrounds, certain populations, including rural communities, low-income households, and communities of color, are disproportionately impacted. So how does this issue play out at a community level? Let's take a closer look at Black Hawk and Bramer County.
This was early on for my time at the food bank. I went to leave, it must have been about 5 o'clock, and there was somebody who was at the door who needed food. And so I said, okay, I can help you. And so I went and filled up a cart. This was when we were in our old facility. I went and filled up a cart, and one of the things that we had was fresh carrots. And it was a mom and a daughter, and to this day, I still can see the smile on that little girl's face when she heard we had fresh carrots for her.
Black Hawk and Bramer County. 2 areas in Iowa with vastly different landscapes, yet both facing the growing challenge of food insecurity. Iowa is home to multiple food deserts, areas where access to fresh, affordable groceries is limited. More than 30 counties in Iowa have significant portions of their population living in low-income areas with little to no access to grocery stores. In rural communities, where public transportation is scarce, this means families must travel long distances just to buy basic essentials.
Food deserts, we have a large group of people living in a small area, and that area may no longer have a local grocery store. There used to be smaller grocery stores just tucked into neighborhoods on the main streets. A lot of those have gone away. What you've gone to is bigger stores, your Walmarts, your Hy-Vees, your Fairways, things that are bigger, with more variety, but they're also further away from a lot of the area where a lot of people live. So they're a driving destination.
If someone lives at Waverly Manor, which is a housing unit we have for low-income elderly and disabled, if they live there and they need to go to the grocery store, and if they don't have a car, that is a boundary. I mean, a really big boundary. So we help provide public transportation through the onboard service.
In Black Hawk County, more than 13% of residents struggle with food insecurity. In Bramer County, the number is even lower, as little as 5.5%. But access to food remains a challenge due to rural food deserts.
We have a lot of single moms, and I love my kids, and when I think that they don't have food at home, it just breaks my heart. And so if I could, sorry.
It's okay. We're there.
If I can be a small part of helping them to live a good and healthy life, then that's what I want to do. I want to be a part of that.
Food insecurity isn't just about poverty. It's about sudden instability. Families who never imagined needing help find themselves at food pantries for the first time. These food pantries serve more than 191,000 Iowans and 71,000 households each month.
We hear stories all the time about, husband loses his job, and the next thing you know, one of the kids gets sick, and of course when he lost his job, the medical insurance isn't there either, and so then they're looking at huge medical costs, or maybe they're looking at huge prescription costs for the medication.
This is where communities play a crucial role. In Black Hawk and Bramer County, food banks, churches, and volunteers are stepping up to ensure families don't go hungry.
It takes a whole village to raise a child. It also takes a whole village to address food insecurity. So we need to be at the table, or we need to be the ones who set the table for all the agencies, governmental, non-governmental, law enforcement, so everyone can work together, because we all have the same thing in common. We all want to help people who are food insecure.
12 years ago, we were kind of the standard United Way model. We raised funds and we distributed them through the community. And so, from a food insecurity standpoint, at that point, our work we were a funder of programs like the Northeast Iowa Food Bank, Northeast Iowa Community Action, who were providing pantries and things like that. But across that time, we have also become our direct service provider as well, meaning we provide direct service to the families and individuals and households in need in our community.
Programs like mobile food pantries, school meal initiatives, and community gardens are helping fill the gap.
The other thing that gives me hope is when I see kids get interested in gardening, when I see kids get really excited about how food is raised. I raise chickens on my farm, I raise vegetables on my farm. When I bring kids out and I see them get so excited about that's where my eggs come from, or that's what a tomato looks like, or they buy a tomato plant and I'm gonna raise that up, and then they come back to me a couple months later and say, I got a tomato. Or they're so excited, I got a tomato, I can do this. That's really exciting. And so I think giving people the power to raise their own food is also a way to fight food insecurity.
At the heart of these efforts are the people, volunteers who donate their time, organizations advocating for policy change, and neighbors looking out for one another.
Our people are kind and generous, the vast majority of them. They want to volunteer, they want to give. They hate food insecurity, especially among our children. I think that the voters, the citizens, really want to do everything they can to fight insecurity. The big issues, like housing, affordable housing, are something that individual citizens can't really address. But they certainly can go and help feed children. And that's something we make possible for them to volunteer. And we always have plenty of volunteers when we ask.
The most rewarding probably is the people I get to meet, the people that I run into on a day-to-day basis. whether it's somebody who needs food or a donor or a volunteer. You really build deep, lasting relationships that can make all the difference in the world to the food bank accomplishing its mission.
Food insecurity isn't just a temporary issue, it's a systemic one. To move forward, we need action at every level: government, business, and individuals.
We have got to convince our lawmakers and our policymakers that there's an issue. We have to convince them to look at the big picture and place children's welfare as a priority.
So they focus on politics, but not the people. And by increasing the funding for these programs would make a difference for the people of Iowa.
Expanding food assistance programs, increasing funding for food banks, and improving wages are critical steps in addressing this crisis. And while policy change is necessary, individual action makes a difference too.
One of the other areas that I've seen over the other years that can help is people coming to the Capitol and talking. Even like insecure family could come in and share their story, kind of what their struggles are and the issues that they face to make sure they get access to food.
This means long-term solution. This means policy change. This means all of us stepping up in whatever way we can.
This lady came up and she said, "I don't know if I'm supposed to be here." And I said, "Well, why would you say that?" And she goes, "Well, I just don't know." I said, "Well, come on in. If you need food, we'll get you some food. Don't worry about it." So we get all the way out to her car, and she looked at me and she said, well, first of all, she had tears running down her face. And she goes, "I was so scared to come here. And I was so afraid. But my husband died last week, suddenly. And I've got 2 kids at home. And I have no way to feed them. And I haven't had a meal in 4 days. And I haven't had meat in over a month." And she said, "I can't believe you guys are here, and I'm so happy you're here. And I'm so happy that I came."
Because no one should have to choose between rent and dinner. No child should have to go school hungry. No senior citizen should have to ration for food just to make it through the month. Being food insecure shouldn't make one feel insecure. Hunger isn't inevitable, it's solvable. And the power to fix it, it's in our hands.